Welcome to Fosbury Flow, a podcast for the crazy ones who are not fond of rules, a podcast about the geniuses who change the world. This is the conversation I had with Bernat Cardenas for the PADEL ROW, a paddle coaching project to help every player, whatever their level. Paddle is still surrounded by an infinite number of incomprehensible mechanistic beliefs. The current way of training and understanding paddle is not consistent with its true essence. The best Brazilian footballers became stars playing in the street, but in paddle, it seems that one must first learn correct and closed movements to then be able to play and be free. Throughout this conversation, we try to give advice for the players, analyze the role of the coach, and rethink the principles that govern the sport.
Hello guys, we're here today in a first meeting with a new coach in the PADEL ROW section. The intention in these interviews is to meet new paddle coaches all around the world and learn from them a little bit to see what they do, how they see paddle today, what they do when they work, and basically learn from them. So today we have here with us Martí. Martí is graduated in Science of Sports and he is a paddle coach. Today he's in Spain and last year he was in Finland. And today we will meet him and we'll make some questions and see what he can share with us. So Martí, hello, how are you?
Hello, Bernat. I'm very happy to be, and also feeling a bit of pressure to be the first one in this new section of the PADEL ROW.
Of course, but always someone needs to be the first, like Fosbury. So yeah, you are the first one and the next will follow and they will have a little help because they can compare with you and they will know a little bit the questions that we want to make to you. So that's brave from you that you are the first here. So who is Martí? Define yourself as a paddle coach in a short sentence.
Good question. I remember that, I don't know who said it, I think Mark Twain said that if you need that I talk for 2 hours, I can prepare it in 20 minutes. But if you need that I talk to give a speech in 20 minutes, I have to prepare it for 2 hours. So if I have to describe myself in one sentence, you should have told me this yesterday, but I would say that a professional passionate about the sport and how people learn.
All right. Perfect.
I would add a sport professional passionate about knowing why things happen and to help people learn.
Great. Perfect. So yeah, I see that you are deep in your thoughts and the way you like to teach because you are interested in how they can learn. How can I teach them? Which is not, we don't have a unique recipe. Great. So second question, what are the must things that a paddle coach should have, and what are the things that a paddle coach should avoid to be a successful and great coach?
As you said before, I don't think there is a, let's say, one fits all type of coach, no, that one must have this and another one must have another things. The first things that come to my mind are adaptability. And the second one is be true to themselves. The first one, adaptability, because I think if you want to have success, and if you are a paddle coach, that you must have amateurs, you must have kids, you must have professionals, you must be very good adapting to the needs of your group. The success doesn't depend to make your group, your players adapt to you, to what do you think it's good, to what do you want to do. But no, to open your eyes, start reading the situation, taking meaningful information from those players, from those groups, and then provide your best. So you have to be ready at every moment to adapt to what your player need. What has been the last match? How has been the last training? Which problems we are facing here? And it's not about, I want to do this because then we will solve it. No, we have to do this, or the player has this problem. So it might help if we do this. This is a situation that I have never encountered before. So I might have the tools, the skills in order to approach this new situation. The second one, I said, being true to himself, because I think we can only do a proper work when we are true to ourselves. And I think this is a bit related to what I said, that there is not a one size fits all type of coaches, no? We can see, for example, Horacio, Pablo Crossetti, Mariano Amat, Jorge Martinez, no? Which all of them have a very different coaching style. But I firmly believe that if you as a coach, it doesn't matter who you are, you do something that you don't believe, you don't have your point of view, you are not true to yourself, you cannot provide the best version to your players.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Another one that I would say is, this depends on the environment you are, but I think it applies to most of coaches, is to know how one player learns, which mechanisms are behind each learning. Last week, I was thinking about myself that if I ask one of my colleagues or most of paddle coaches in Spain, why one player learns, what happens behind or deep that makes him learn, I realized that I would listen a very, very bad reply. No, like, no, we learn because you repeat and you, at the end, you unconsciously automatize a movement. No, that's what you think it happens. But very, very few people, even me, that's why now I'm researching it, know why one player learns, which are the most efficient ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you must know paddle, you have to be passionate about paddle, you have to know the game, but then you have to know how to teach it. That's why it happens also in soccer. Many times being an ex-professional player does not guarantee to be a proper coach.
Yeah.
Because you know about paddle, you have been there, but you don't know which is the process, the most meaningful process that a player has to experiment. Or that you see that one thing is happening doesn't mean that you know why this thing happens. So then you start teaching the bandeja, you explain what you see, you explain what you have done, but you don't know why all these things have happened to you. All these things that you happen in the bandeja happen, no? If you don't know how a person learns, you see a bandeja and you start thinking that you must learn it copying, no? If the hand is like this, the elbow, and that's what you see, but you don't know why this happens. The learning process in order to reach a proper bandeja is not just as following step by step, imitating, copying, and so on.
Yeah. Of course, every human is different. They have different backgrounds. They had a different day before the training. So if you, as you say, if you think that there is only one way and more or less every player learns the same way, many times you will fail because we are different. Sometimes you only need to approach them. For example, me as a coach, when we finish an exercise, sometimes I make questions that they are not about the training. They are about something different, like what they did in the day, if they watch a football match, to see how they feel. I mean, or what they share with me. Also, this will help me somehow to understand why they are not learning, because maybe they have something in their mind. If they respond to me super depressing, like, well, I had this morning like that, then I say, okay, probably I need to do a game next time, something more fun, like they really enjoy and they disconnect from these thoughts, or so this is only an example that it can work.
Here, do you allow me to talk a bit about Coelho?
Yeah, of course, you can share if you think this can help people to understand better why it's important to adapt to the player and not to just teach how you think is the best way to teach.
For me, the Coelho example, that he was able to reach the number one playing in a completely different style from the traditional, if you look at the last number ones, Galán, Paquito, Vela, LeBron, Juan Martín, all of them follow with a very similar logic of the game, traditional. And Coelho arrived. He started to play different, He had different personal conditions. The competitive environment, the competitive level nowadays on padel affected him. So he had to find his way to succeed. And he has found this way to succeed playing in no man's land, the area of the court in which most coaches say that you shouldn't be. Also, he has developed this backhand smash, which I haven't seen it being repeated constantly by any players before. So just Coelho, we could go super deeply into it, but I don't think we need it, or you have the article if you want. But the Coelho style of play reaching the number one shows us that there are no optimal single learning paths, but that each one has his paths. And Coelho was able to find his success when he was true to himself. What is true to himself? True to his personal conditions and how to have success, If we had forced Coelho to stay in the back of the court as you should do, as traditional padel style, maybe he should fail. But once he was true to himself, he just let himself express. He went for his advantages. He tried to destroy his hindrances. He could have success. So he had a perfect, it was like his style. He could express himself as he was. So then he could have success. Yeah. But if we start to condition the player, do like him, imitate this, don't do this, and then you bring him far away from his creative expression, from who is he, then is when we have problems.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes when we talk about Coelho, I also would like to talk with the coaches and his family to see if they also talk about that. Like if he was open and sharing with them, listen, I don't feel good playing like this, because I think this is like his successful career. I believe it's thanks to him, of course, 100%, but also thanks to his environment, thanks to his coaches, because they were open to that. So I think I would like to also to know, like, what happened there, because we can talk about that, but we know that coaches, normally they need to follow a methodology, they need to follow an academy game style, and it's not about being brave or being different, but it's hard for the coach to change that. If you are practicing defense because it's the first part of the season and you have a big group and you are many coaches in a team and you have one of these players, the question is how you can change that as a coach. How you explain to the other players, no, sorry, but this player, his capacities, his way of playing, he can go to the net when we play this game, but you should stay at the back. I think it's not easy to explain it to the other players, to explain it to the other coaches, explain it to the family. So what do you think about that? How this can...
That's a very good point. And actually, I think it's related to also what you asked me about what a coach shouldn't have or something he shouldn't do. And for me, this is the main thing, to think that the coach is the main responsible of the process. that the learning process is about him, what he knows, what he thinks, what he believes, and then he has to teach. Usually the people who teach paddle thinks that they learn, the players, because of us. And the truth is that most of the times they learn in spite of us, in spite of what we do.
Yeah. It's hard to see the difference sometimes. Like, it's not easy to see it, like maybe your ego, maybe the way that you have been taught as a student. We always believe that if you have a great coach, you will be a better player. That's true. But what is a great coach? Again, is not someone that gives you all the information and tells you what to do all the time. It's a coach that makes you think, makes you fail, makes you understand what you are, how you are, what is the best way for you to play, etc.
And also a good coach depends a lot on the situation. For example, maybe if the coach is on a kids academy, I would prioritize a lot that he knows how kids learn, that he provides variable environments, many opportunities for learning. If we would be talking of a professional coach, maybe I would prioritize more the leadership skills or the analysis of the game. It's also very contextual, but if you are ready to adapt, if you have all these skills and you can provide it in every context you are, then it would be great for you. I think the Coelho's coach example, I don't know if it's Gustavo Prato or there have been, I guess, many more coaches behind this success, is the complete example that this is about letting the player do, find his success, and you helping. If Gustavo Pratos would have said to Coelho, no, Arturo, you cannot go to no man's land. You have to wait in the back until you can play a chiquita or a lob. Then they would have failed. Because Coelho couldn't have a stable, successful performance following that kind of thinking. So I don't know, that would be nice to talk with them. I invite you to invite them here and discuss it together. But
it would be amazing.
To say, okay, Coelho, so hey, do your thing. What do you think we should do? And once you feel good, once you are doing what you believe it will bring you to success, then we manage the small situations in order to make it happen. Yeah. But you as a coach, you have to be there, ready to help the player. You don't have to be there to make the player help you, to make the player do what you want. Yeah, I remember Paco Seirulo, one of the most influential football coaches or methodology experts, I would say, philosopher also, we could describe him.
Yes.
He said with an historical sport like soccer, he said, football is not something completely done. It's something to be done. No, he was talking about this thing that we have in our minds, like soccer, as, okay, soccer is played like this. It's something completely done. We know what will happen. We know what this is about.
Yeah.
But not completely
you need to
the
train
opposite.
How to run, how to pass, how to do this.
Yeah. Or it's the same with paddle. Why we don't learn from that? No, it's not something completely done. It's something to be done. You know what has happened in the past, but you don't know what will happen in the future. The sport will change. The players will adapt. And we have seen it with how Coelho plays and the amazing shots he has performed. So why not to approach the learning process with a point of view of, okay, let's see how paddle will evolve, how my player will evolve. Instead of going to the training session, knowing and believing and assuming how your player will evolve, what he has to do in order to be good. The sport has changed, and we can see in the last 4-5 years, if you look back to 10 and 20, it's crazily amazing how the sport has changed. Yeah. So why we assume that our players will have to play our outdated model we have in our head, we have in our mind? Probably what will happen is not certain. So you must have in your head the skills to adapt, and to make your players adaptable to whatever challenges the future of padel brings to them.
Yeah, and every coach needs to accept that sometimes the players, they will surprise you and they will make something or they will ask you something, and you will need to say, honestly, I was not expecting that. But if you could play that shot and you won the point, if for you it's an option, it's not a risk, and you can make it often, do it. Normally, in my plan as a coach, it was not an option to do this shot in that moment. But I see that you have these skills, this personality, this intelligence, how to read the ball, that you can do that. But before, for me, it was new. I'm not going to do that. But what I think that it's important to have this staff, because we are all different players, but also coaches. So in a great staff, it's really important, I believe, to have this coach like Cerulo, someone more open, philosopher, like everything is more open. But also I think that there are moments that you need to train with a coach that is more closed, that players, they are not thinking too much about what to do, what is that, what is there. Like, no, let's try to practice that specific thing, like these 2-3 shots, this specific play, because if we don't do that, it's also hard to know if this works for us, if this is it's helpful. You know what? Do you understand what I mean? Like,
yes, I think this
combining is like a great.
I will tell you like a very problematic answer. That is, it depends. It depends on the situation you are in which player you have to coach.
Yeah.
It depends on the moment of the season. Related to what you said, I always make the reflection is that why, if the padel rules only tell you how you win a point, how you lose it, no, and what you can do and what you cannot do, we start coaching always technique in order to learn it. If the rules of the game doesn't limit you how you should behave, use where you should put the ball, why we don't change our beginner's approach? Actually, Juan Malillo, another football coach philosopher, said that the best book of tactics ever written about football are the regulations, the rules, because they limit what you can do and what you cannot. It's not the book that the professional coach says, okay, here is what you should do. No, here is what you think. But what you can do or not is set by the rules.
Yeah. I believe like we need to remember that time is limited and players, they can train only like a certain amount of time. So the pressure of that, the time, the families, they want players to reach a higher level, or also the clients themselves, they want to improve. So then the coaches normally, or the academies, they think, okay, we don't have enough time to let them try, to let them learn. And what we do, okay, guys, this is what normally works. Let's start practicing these shots. Let's start practicing these tactics, because that's I agree 100% that this would be amazing. Like if we had time that they can spend hours playing without knowing all these as tactics, like coaches we teach. But if we do that I did sometimes, you will see that players, they will spend many hours trying to see how to be in a more advantage position, how to play shots that they are better for them. And you as a coach, of course, you don't need to tell them, you need to play this shot, you need to do that. No. I think we need to find a balance.
Yes.
Trying to tell them that the ideal is this, try to do that. But you know what I mean? We need to understand we're in a real world, and in this world, the time is limited and all of that.
As always, Bernat, it depends, no? But I'm going to propose you a situation, let's say with kids, no? So we can, let's say, visualize better what we are talking about. Then you say, okay, with these kids, I only have 1 hour. So then is what Taleb, the physics writer Nassim Taleb, says a lot, that our brains are made for survival. And many times the software we carry inside than from when we were hunter-gatherers tricks us, fools us. So we have 1 hour and we think, okay, in order to learn, I have to repeat this movement, I have to do this technique so they can play. When the truth is that you doing this closed technique in which you don't offer variability, different options to learn, to adapt, different kinds of displacement, different kinds of hitting, you are taking away from them the meaningful learning opportunities. So you thinking that you are helping, that you are providing some benefits, at the end you are taking away from them. Maybe the training is a bit more messy, if it's a bit more open, more disorganized, there are more mistakes, but this is what learning is. At the end, learning how to, the meaningful information of the environment that you have to use. What would be that meaningful information? Okay, where is the ball bouncing? Which is the speed it comes? It comes very deep or very short, so I have to play with the glass. And all of that is done by our brain, by our body, by our organism, unconsciously and involuntarily. The problem is that when we want to take all this information away, so they just have to repeat and they just have in mind the information that the coach says, elbow, hand. So at the end, we do more harm than good.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think the coaches, they should know what's the important, or what is the more efficient way to hit the ball, for example, but they don't need to tell them. They need to only, for example, put the ball there and see what happens. And from here, let's see. If they give them space and time to solve it, and if they don't solve it, then you can start making questions. Why they think it's not happening, why they think they can change. You can tell them, do you check the ball, how it's bouncing, these things that you said before, and then they will see it normally. Also, you can tell them, look at your partners, how they solve it, so different ways to learn.
And maybe in the short term, this learning in which you don't say directly, but you make question, you make them be awake and read the game, his own shots, is not going to be that fast. But it's not a problem. You will have a meaningful learning in the long term. Look, Bernat, you made me think of one anecdote that Raúl Iñiguez from Lleida just told me this weekend. I met him by chance. And I don't know which player he was talking about, but the coach was Dudu. And Dudu had a player who didn't have a continental grip. He had the grip a little bit changed, no? Not like the common grip, let's say, or the widely accepted. So then Raúl asked Dudu, hey, why don't you change the grip of this player? That he was, I don't remember the name, but he was a very good player. And Dudu said, hey, is this a player able to put the ball in? And Raúl says, yes. Is this player able to play the ball at whatever speed? Like, yes. Does this player put the ball in when he's in a disadvantaged situations? Yes. Does this player put the ball in when he has pressure? Yes. Then why do I need to change? Then I would mess it up his grip. And that's the meaningful thing. You have to look at the game, not at the model that you have in your mind and you should imitate. Yeah, no, nobody cares. We only care about how to start 0-0 and go to 15-0 for you.
So and then the question is, yeah. No, sorry.
If the player is able to achieve that, to win the match in a way that is not in your head, but he has success, this is what is important about. I remember, I'm not going to say the name, but I would say a status quo protector set of Arturo Coelho. I don't like how he plays because he cannot defend 2 balls in a row. And my opinion of this is, hey, sorry. He can defend 2 balls in a row. The thing is that he doesn't do it in the way you like or in the way you want. But the thing is about having success in whatever way it is. Not that he has success with how you won. If you if you obligate the player to have success in your way, in your mental model, at the end you are very selfish. But if you help the player and you adapt to him in order he has success, then is when I think you are a good coach.
Yeah. Yeah. This is related also to Barca. Like Barca fans, like they are really true to the Barca philosophy that they should play beautiful and they should play in that way. Anytime they see a coach trying to play in a different way, even though maybe they win the Champions League, they win everything, they will always be frustrated, like, but we are not playing in the way we should play. We are not, and they will never enjoy, and they will never let a coach be free to coach. So that's a big example of that. Like many people in the sports, they have a way of seeing the sport. And if someone is playing a different way, even when they have a good result, they will say, no, but they don't play good. They don't know how to play. And you say, what do you mean? But if he has a good result.
Yeah, of course. In the Barca's case, it's a very good example, I think. But also you have to take into account cultural conditions you have from the culture in which you are in. But it's completely the same. I think. Look, I always say this, like many times we say to our friends, to people you love, wishing the best, you wish to him like, hey, please never change. Be always like this. When in truth, this is bad advice and we leave it, and we give it, in a good sense, no? But it's not like change. Don't worry, adapt.
Yeah.
It's like what you were telling me about academies that force you to have a one methodology. Hey, I'm sorry, but what your under 12 kid needs is different from what under 18 needs. If you have an under 18 kid, which is Coelho's stature, and one under 14, which is Chingoto's stature, can you make both of them play and do the same way?
Probably not.
There is no one size fits all approach. There is no one way to learn, one learning path able to, for every player. But you as a coach, as academy leader, as a coordinator, you must know that. And you have to make your coaches awake and adaptable to know what this player learns, what this one learns. And maybe if in your academy you create a culture in which coaches know how to adapt, they provide something different, then the players wouldn't be surprised if one goes, as you said before, to play like Coelho and another one stays and waits in the back like Bella.
Yeah. Of course. There are many ways to prove it. You can prove it with example, like with results in a tournament. Like I was in a professional academy in a summer camp, and they somehow try to make it, to show it to other players in that way. Like why this player can play in the first court with the professional players, like Sanyo, when Sanyo was there. Because he can adapt to the exercises that we propose, and he can do that. So in general terms, a way to teach other people to explain is with example. Like if you can succeed with any style or any technique, then it's okay. That's the important thing.
Look how paddle can change. If the court is slow, if the court is fast, if it's summer, if it's winter, if it's outdoor, if it's indoor, if the balls are heavier, if are lighter, look how much the sport changes. I think it's one of the ones who has more variability. But we coaches cling to one way of playing.
Yeah, I know.
When in truth, we should empower them to change, to adapt, to read the situation, no? And say, okay, I can do this. Now I need to do this. This is not working today. We are playing in another situation today.
Yeah. But again, we are in the same thing. Like, for example, me as a coach, sometimes I want to help, but I need to stop myself. Like, don't help them really fast, like telling them what to do. Because to me, maybe it's obvious, like if the balls, they are really old and they're not bouncy, it's obvious that or they're wet, you should play more flat, don't try to slice, because you will have no any good feeling with the ball, so you want to put the ball in. So all the things, if you tell them in words, maybe they will fix it in the next shot, but they will forget about it the next time they play. So what is your suggestion then to fix that?
Good, very good question again, Bernat. First, let me start. Which is the star method of most of coaches, academies in the world? I think is the method of, if you don't agree, please say it, but I would say is the method of direct command. I tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So then what you are transmitting indirectly with this method, wanting to help the player, telling all the time what to do, you are telling him that in order to behave, he needs that the coach tells him what to do. And then in the court, when something doesn't work, the player feels bad, starts crying, and starts looking at the coach. Because we unconsciously, indirectly, have told him that in order to succeed, he needs our instruction. My friend Kike Lacasa, also very familiar with a complex systems approach to paddle training from the University of Lleida, used to say, hey, look, maybe tomorrow I'm not here to tell you what to do and how to do it. So you discover it yourself, period. And of course, the coach has to be there to help. Yeah. But in order sometimes doesn't telling the answer makes, or just doing it by questions.
Yeah. The thing is, again, if you have time and then you can train in the conditions, you can make them questions, then they can find solutions. Then when they play the match, I believe that maybe it's the only moment that you can use this direct command, like tell them, remember what happened in that situation. We practiced that and you know how to do that. And then the player will see it. But if you do that every time in the training sessions, of course, they will never learn.
Of course. And I'm not saying that direct command is bad. It might be needed in some situations, such as closed situations with the bucket and also open situations in the game, no? Just that you have to know when to use it. Maybe you have to give the direct command when you see the player afraid.
Yeah, in the match to the net, or in because the you know that he needs that to remember that.
Yeah.
But not to go to the net every time because I won't know. Because
so then the player, if the player behaves according to what you say, he's just memorizing. He will just behave according to what the coach says, not according what he thinks or what he learns. I remember one of my mentors, which is called Joan Cortés, he used to say, if before the exercise starts, the player can say how he will behave, where he needs to hit the ball, how he needs to move in order to do it properly, this means that it's a very good exercise for synchronized swimming, not for basketball. And I think it's the same. We can make a drill cooperative, I mean 2 against 2, 1 against 1, or with the bucket, but in which we can put this variability that the player doesn't know what he needs to do. He has to discover it as the drill goes on. And maybe instead of saying what he has to do, tell him, hey, you have to be ready, awake in order to behave. Then unconsciously, we will be leading by this example of you find your answers, you find your solutions. I don't know if I'm explaining right.
Yeah, I understand 100%. Yeah. Let's try to now follow the new questions. The intention is also that the players that they see this video, they can also understand what is the best for them. So the question now is, what if you are an amateur player and you could choose, like you have a superpower and you could choose having the greatest technique in every shot, but a really poor tactics understanding of the game, or choosing like the other way around, a great understanding and tactics, but a really poor technique, like you don't hit the ball really clean and everything. What is the best option, do you think?
I'm gonna, like I believe I have to do as a coach, I'm gonna lead by the example, and I'm not gonna tell you the answer, but I'm gonna make you guess. Following Juan Malillo example that I have mentioned before, that the best rule of tactics about padel are the regulations, the rules. I'm gonna ask you, does the rule say which technique I have to use to win the point? Does the padel rules validate my technique execution as it would be gymnastics and I win more or less points? Or do the rules validate where the ball bounces, if it takes 2 bounces, if you put it out of the court, when do you win the point? Mm-hmm. It tells you when do you win the point or how you have to win it, which technique you have to use. I think my answer is clear. I prioritize always not to focus on myself, but to focus on the game, on understanding it, on reading it, on writing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. But do you agree that sometimes the consequence of a negative result, it was the technique?
You mean a bad execution?
Like, for not only the bad execution, like, for example, if I want to pass the ball over the net and the ball goes to the net, there are many factors that they were influencing that result. And one of them, it was a technique. So do you believe that sometimes you can have all the best, like you can be in the best position, you can decide to play the best shot, like a defensive shot, all these decisions, like they're like tacticals, but then the technique is not correct, meaning correct, like, successful, that you miss. So do you agree that sometimes maybe everything, it was a good choice, but not the technique? It's possible?
It's a good question. What I would say is that I don't think if the player misses, is because she doesn't do the right model that he has to learn. In any case, I will say it was a technique mistake because he didn't know his skills, how to put it in that context, in that situation. So that the player still unconsciously didn't know how to break, how to prepare, and how to hit it. But I wouldn't say it's a mistake because she hasn't learned the proper technique of the forehand or of the volley. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. I believe that the belief that one has to learn technique in order to start playing padel is false. It just causes harm. I believe that having the technique is the consequence of having played, of reading the game, of having the information. Because then you know yourself, your body, and the ball that is coming. And that is when you can adapt. But if you try to have the right model, but you are not able to read the ball, to read the position, to have a proper position in the match, then is when technique causes harm. That's why I have an article I recommend you if you're interested to read, is why to call it iatrogenics if we can call it technique training. And iatrogenics is a term that uses the physicist and writer Nassim Taleb, that is described as the harm that a doctor causes intervening something that would heal alone with time. And iatrogenics happens in doctors, in medicine, but in coaching, in social sciences, in politics, and so on.
Again, it's all affected by time. You want to fix it faster, I give you this pill, and then you don't have pain in the next 3 weeks, but the pain will come again because you were not learning how to walk properly.
Or what it happens is that in United States, many people has some pain, so they give opioids, painkillers, to pain that would heal with time. But then they drink alcohol, and at the end, they turn out to have much more accidents and much more deaths because of that, because giving these painkillers, these opioids.
Yeah.
There is a very good book, very short. I recommend it to you. I can send it to you, which is called A Treatise on Efficacy, which compares the mindset of the Western world with the Oriental one, with the Chinese. And we, the Europeans and Americans, like a lot to create models like perfect things to attain. So we create our learning model, in order to achieve that. We completely miss the present and we make all the steps to achieve the model. Yeah. But in China, in the Oriental way of thinking, they just think in the present, in the potential of the situation. So they say it's like a river going down from a mountain, and there are rocks, there are curves, and you cannot change the direction of the water, the course of a river, but you can influence it. Yeah. So then you don't know the result, but you know it will reach the sea.
Yeah, it's fun. I have another book. It talks about different models of teaching, learning. I can't remember the name. And in the first page, it says that if you are used to learn in a more occidental way, you should start from the page number 40. So depending in which part of the world that you are or you are used to learn, they recommend you where to start the book. So it's related to that. Do you know that the book? It's a book. It's a really small book that is sharing in a really short way the different ways to solve problems, models to approach any mathematics systems. It's so interesting. It's about many things, really short, but it's really fun. Like it's the same. Like they say, you can go to the page number 40, and from here you can read all the results, and then you can go back and understand how they prepare them.
Send it to me later, please.
Yeah, I will.
Then, now talking about this, you made me think of my friend, Adrian Marquez. He's a football coach. And it was funny, talking about trainings. I think it completely applies to paddle, how we plan the sessions and how we set this goal, in order to attain it. Adrian Marquez says, do you know what will happen tomorrow in the game, in the weekend? Or will you have to adapt? Will you have to read it? So he says, and then why you plan your training with closed tasks and no variability, not uncertainty? Why the players go to the training on day Wednesday and they know that they will do buckets, a little bit on one-on-one, and then match? Are you really preparing them for a match that is variable, that is uncertain, that needs adaptability skills? Why if the paddle match, you don't know when the ball is coming, 90% of your training tasks are closed and the player knows what he needs to do?
Yeah, of course. I was playing a match last week with a young guy. And we played against two ex-tennis players, pro tennis players, that they had a super unique technique, but they were really good in tactics, decisions. They were not missing any, let's say, easy ball, because they had this good mentality, like put the ball in, don't try to do stupid shots, and let's keep playing, and we're not going to miss the ball. And then my partner was all the time that he was missing a shot, like a volley or a shot. He was telling me, wow, man, I cannot play with these guys because they don't hit the ball to me in a good rhythm. They prepare in a strange way. I cannot read it. And I was saying, I know. But the important is, I was telling him only one tip, because we're playing together and I'm not going to fix anything. And I'm not going to talk about the philosophy. I was telling to him, look at the ball and play. Don't look at them. If they prepare like this, if they put the ball there when you were already thinking that they should play a lob in that way. No, look at the ball. And we finally won the first set, super tight, 7-6. Then he was more relaxed and we won 6-1. But he was obsessed with that. It was unbelievable.
That's
So it was a
that's an
clear
amazing
example.
that's an amazing example, because you also, as a player, you need to read the opponents in order to anticipate, no? Like in order to go 1 second before, in order
Yeah.
to read them, but they cannot read you. But as we teach paddle as just one way of playing, one way of doing things, when somebody does something different, we are lost because we
Exactly.
cannot adapt to that.
He was this type of players that they did only some trainings, like they go to a professional academy. In the professional academy, they try to teach them all the techniques and all these common ways to play the shots. And then when they need to play against random players, that of course they play how they like to play, or they feel it's better for them, they get lost. Like he was telling me, why did this player, his body is front, is forward, and he's hitting the ball with the hand. And then I cannot read it. And I was saying, well, it's a talent from him. Maybe he was a volleyball player before, or he has a good feeling with the hand. But the important, again, look at the ball. If the ball is going to the corner, you follow it. Don't try to overthink all the time this.
I really like the sentence, I should check it, from Samuel Johnson that says, almost everything stupid of our behavior is the result of imitating those that we cannot look like. And I think it's something it completely applies to paddle. All our methods are based about imitating the professionals, imitate the number one.
Yeah.
This is the main problem of a player that cannot, a player will never be able to imitate Tapia, but he will be the best one in finding his best version. But we break with that, and that's when we create the problem. Yeah. Another thing, it makes me laugh a lot is when I see paddle coaches that the thing that they are most demanding is intensity, about being bouncing, about being active, no? Why? Because professionals are like that. So if you want to be professional, you have to be that active. I'm sorry, but no, it's the opposite way. As they are professionals and as they can read the game so precisely, they can be so active to take the chance, the opportunity when they see it. But if you force the kid to be extremely active, you are creating problems to him.
They cannot focus in important things.
He has to remember on being active and then also to read the game. You are putting more cognitive burden.
Yeah.
When you should tell him to be ready, to be aware, but probably his way of being active is not jumping, not bouncing as a professional would be.
No, of course. There are players that they are walking, like Messi. Messi is walking because in that way he can read the ball better, he can understand better what's happening, more things, he can save energy and only focus in the right moment. Or Sanyo.
What about Sanyo?
Yeah, I was close to Sanyo's coach, and he told me like they recommend to Sanyo to walk because he looks so chill, but he's super nervous, like every player in a competition. So in order to play better, the coaches at this time, they recommended to him to walk as much as possible, especially between a serve and serve, because in that way he can breathe better. He can focus better in what he wants to do in the next point or what happened in the last point, and he can learn from that. But that applies for him. Some other players, maybe they will play better if they are more active because they are.
The important thing is to be engaged, no, with the task, with the match. But every player manifests it different. The same with technique or tactics. The important thing is to control the rhythm of the game, to know where to put the ball, at what speed, in which moment. But every player with his body manifests it different.
Yeah. Look at Rafa Nadal. Rafa Nadal is jumping before the match starts. Super active. Also, he's super stressed, touching his body before a serve. But that helps him to be focused and play better. Some other players like Federer, going to walk, get ready, and then he plays better. So it's a clear example that you don't need to do the same like the pro players or someone else is doing. Yeah, that's interesting. Good. So one of the last questions, it's what are the fundamentals to develop in a paddle player, like is an amateur player that trains only once per week and plays only once per week? So you as a coach or you as a director in academy, how could you approach that? What type of lessons you will teach if you want these players to play better?
My main goal would be that, of course, not fast because he's not playing and training a lot, could follow the principle of putting the ball in whatever situation he is in, if he has advantage or disadvantage, and being able to have a proper decision making between when he has to wait, when he just have to play, and when he finding that the opponent misses, or when he has to break with this and go himself for the point, for the winner. So I would build a lot of tasks following those principles, depending on the level. Not he's a beginner playing a lot before volleys, like after the ball bounces, playing a lot with the spaces, then start managing the spaces with the volley, start understanding when to play a lot. But always every task, even it's more open or more closed, follow that principle. Because I think this is the closest or the global most important principle we have related to paddle, related to what every match, what every situation you have to do.
Yeah, and following the principles, the players, they will play longer, because if the ball is in, they will need to be active and playing, and if they are playing, they will learn more. So the longer are the points, the more they will learn.
I think that's but I will just pursue it. Which ball do I have? Do I have it for winning the point or for just pass it and make the opponent miss? At the end, in order, what I want in paddle is if I go 0-0 to start 15-0 for me. I have two ways of doing it. Winning the point with an amazing shot, or not doing anything special and the opponent misses.
Yeah.
But then, in order to do that, I need to read properly the walls. I need when to go to the net. I need to read the ball properly if I can win it or if I have to continue. And in order to do that, I need many, many, many learning opportunities, no? Different drills, different balls, different opponents.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah, of course. Do you do, for example, conditioning games? Like games, for example, that they can't do that, or they will be punished if they miss that ball in order to achieve that, like to put the ball in, to play longer points, to decide better what to do?
Yes. I would say is the basics of my methods, of my criteria. But also I really love to do crazy tasks. I call crazy tasks to big challenges I pose to the players. For example, I would say one crazy task is I put like in each back wall of the court, few cones in the center glasses. And the rule is if the ball touches between the cones, so it makes a goal, it touches the glass between the cones, it's 1 point. The point continues, but you have to do that. So with more beginners, I have done it without volleys, so the ball has always to bounce before to hit it. And with more high-level players, I do it like normal. So what does that game make? It's a situation much bigger and much more demanding to a game, because in a game, you don't have that handicap. But to have that exercise with that condition makes the player, it's like obligates the player to control every ball. To think, okay, if I am defending, how can I do that they don't score me goal? Probably one way of doing it is with a lob. Okay. Another way of doing maybe is with a chiquita and make the court small.
Yeah.
Another way of doing is maybe play to the play a cross lob so they cannot attack the middle, or if they attack it, it's very easy to anticipate. Or playing a high lob and anticipating. But yeah, it depends a lot of volleys. But yeah, at the end, you learn paddle by playing. So if your training is not like a match, they will be very good ball touchers, very good movement makers. They will be very aesthetic, very beautiful. But I don't know if they will end up playing paddle.
Exactly. And it's interesting because with that games, probably some players, they will tell you, I cannot focus in how to hit the ball with a good technique. And then you can say, that's why you need to play more. Because you will find a way to put the ball there. Don't try to think that having a best technique with the baskets will make you play better here in the real game. Play more, and then you will adapt the techniques that you know, that you have today in the game. Because sometimes they blame me as a coach. They tell me, my technique is not good enough to play and also focus in how to put the ball there. Well, because
so then it's a bad technique.
Maybe they are trying to think that they need to play the perfect technique, that they believe it's this and that, instead of hitting the ball in. You know, today we want to copy the pro players. They want to copy other ways of playing. And I tell them there are many ways to play a volley. It depends on many factors. How is the ball? How is your movements? How is your body? Many things. So then that's why I don't really like the baskets. Only I like the baskets if first the coach is explaining why we do them. Because, for example, you want to explain, like when they play you short balls, you need to reach the ball, and then you need to do the step in order to reach the ball, which is obvious. And then you want them to practice how it feels this volley, but only for that, not to tell them that this is the way to play volleys. And you don't say nothing more. If they're super, super beginners and you want them to feel only how is hitting the ball in there, then it's okay, do that. But if you want them to learn more and they play matches, let's say they are not super beginners, they play from time to time, I think it's important that in every basket that you do, you explain why they do them.
Completely agree. One of the things that makes me worry more is when we do baskets, but we put away the essence of the game. You just do a basket repeating a movement without intention, without knowing why you do that movement. So then that basket doesn't have any transfer to the development and real learning of the player. If you teach the kid just with buckets to learn technique, he will end up thinking that the important thing in paddle is to do this technique.
Yeah.
So he will be focusing in his hand, how he plays, but he will not focus on where to hit the ball, on which situation he is, where he needs to put the ball in order to have the control of the point.
Yeah. I want to do next. Exactly.
Last Friday, I had a meaningful learning for my coaching path. I learned that the best defense in the corner, it's proactive, not reactive. Let me explain. It doesn't start after the opponent hits the ball, that you have to adapt and save it. It starts before. When you're in the corner, depending on how you play the previous ball, then the defense will be much easier or much harder. But if we just train with the bucket throwing balls, then the player thinks that this is like pool, like billiards, and he has to read the rebound and hit it. When the thing is that if he knows in that situation where he needs to hit it, a lob, a chiquita, in the backhand, in the line, cross, this changes already his defense.
Yeah, of course, opening the angles, all these concepts that for beginners are really hard to understand. But it's so important. Where you hit the ball will affect how you will hit the next one when they play back to you.
So you need to know how the ball rebounds, but also you need to know where to put it. If you know how to play, you will have a much easier defense than if you don't know where to play. So of course you need to read the ball, but you know how to play paddle.
Yeah.
In order to know how to defense.
Yeah, so the little things yeah. And also I believe that the baskets, they work a lot with professionals or players that they play a lot of competitions and matches, because when they do the basket, they are visualizing the shot in the match. So that's why they put the intensity that we demand, because they know in a match they hit these balls. They understand, okay, the coach is there with the basket, he's hitting the ball to me, so this is like a forehand when the ball is easy for them, and I need to get ready and control the ball. So that's why it works better for them. But depending on the level, you need to be careful with the baskets.
Yeah. And of course, the basket is not bad, but you have to know how to use it. And when you use it, don't expect that if you only train with baskets, the player will be super smart. Baskets probably doesn't give you that. They can make you smart, but maybe not the smartest. For me, it's funny. I can see in Catalonia the players who train with basket or with more game, because you can see it with conditional games, because you can see it in how they move. But then if you train with the basket and you don't put the perturbations of the game, the challenges, the competitive scenarios, then as Arteta says, the Arsenal coach, is like with the basket, the player is training in the zoo, and in the match he's in the jungle. So he hasn't learned anything in the zoo that he can apply in the jungle. The thing is to make the basket a little bit more like the jungle. So then you will make a proper transfer. What he's doing in the training will have a transfer to the match. But if you make drills that are closed, that the players know what to do, that you don't put her in problems, that you don't make read about where her ball goes or where the opponents are, then you are completely not in a zoo, in a cage, super small, that when you make her free, will be extremely lost.
Yeah.
And you will generate like many insecurities, many frustration. And it was the coach blame.
Yeah, I know.
And here I say, it's not that the player doesn't learn. What I said before, no? We think that they learn because of the coach. The truth is that many times they learn in spite of the coach. But in this situation is that she doesn't learn because of the coach. So we have a big responsibility, the coaches.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's important. The main goal about all of that is to be aware of that. When you're aware of that, you make an effort as a coach to find the way to approach every player. But if you're unaware of that, you will be a coach like closed coach, let's say. Like, this works today, next week with a similar group will also work. And many times it doesn't happen.
My friend Adri Marquez is the methodology director of one Catalan club of football in Barcelona. And he tells me, many times the coaches I lead tell me, this task is great because always I have done it. It has been good. So probably they didn't understand nothing, because also learning process is about making mistakes, having a chaos, and so on.
So tell me, because I was a physical education teacher, but you were a student in the school and you also studied sports. So now you say these words, chaos, and this type of game. So do you know what is the game that all the physical education teachers, they say always works?
No.
I think in English it's called dodgeball.
Okay, yes.
A matar, el joc de matar.
Yes.
So dodgeball, that game that you need to throw the ball, touch someone. If they kill you, you need to see it. If they kill the player that killed you, you survive again. So it's many things happening. It's chaos. So everyone feels like, I can play. So the teachers, they love it because they say always work. Well, it's true that normally, not always. So
Yeah.
there are some games that somehow they always work. I mean, I play this game in Padel. It's called the Ganado Perdido, win and lose.
Yes.
You play cross or maybe straight, 1-1, then they play together. They love it because it's chaos. I can focus in 1-1, which is easy because it's only me and I. Not everyone is not looking at me. Then we play together. It's fun because we feel like we're a team.
I agree, but I think there is a difference. That these tasks would be fine and are fun, even though the coach might not be there if the kids play alone. So this is just playing. This is just a free play, let's say. It's not a task. And sometimes when we take away these free play opportunities for them is when they don't learn.
Yeah.
The problem is that we have our coordinators, the parents watching, and they think they have to do buckets and repeat. When probably if we could let them play much more, we could have much more meaningful processes.
Yeah, of course.
Look at Brazil, South America.
Yeah, they play a lot. Life make them learn. They play in the streets and they need to adapt all the time. They need to play better if they want to win against someone older than them. The rules are really harder there. The rules that you set. That because I believe there are people, they can do faults. You never know when it's the end of the match because maybe all the adults, they say, no, 5 minutes more because they want to win. So
sometimes it's wet. The court is weird. The ball rebounds weird.
Yeah. Many things.
You don't do two movements the same. There is the story. I will send you the article if you want of Pavel Datsyuk, one of the best ice hockey players ever. And he talks about his learning process. He has a very weird style of play, very adaptable, very variable. And he blames that he was born in a poor Soviet Union. He had to play all day in the street. Sometimes he did ice hockey, but when he didn't have the skates, he was playing in the snow with boots and soccer. He always was in the team with less players. So all these opportunities, playing in snow, reading the ball, making fakes, because if not, they fall. Sometimes playing, skating. Bring an amazing, a bag of lessons that you learn unconsciously without any effort. So then there you have a foundations for life because you can express all of that without need to think, to make it conscious.
Yeah, of course. I'm in Sweden and here all the paddle courts are amazing. Everything is great. And anytime they need to play in a different court, like in Spain, it's really hard for them. So
it happened to me too when I was used to play in Finland and came to Spain.
Yeah.
I was very fragile.
Yes. You play there with the wet, the old courts in Spain. I had the same. When I was back, I play a match. I need like 2 sets to understand, okay, here the ball is not bouncing. Okay, here the glass, the light is different. So imagine for us that we're aware of that and we played before in Spain and then we played there only for a year. And this happened to us. Imagine if you are a player from Sweden, that you played all your life in Sweden, to say a place, like it's indoor in these closed conditions, and then you play outdoor anywhere in the world.
And paddle is more related to what you say about having outdoor, not the ball bouncing, adapting. Now there is wind than the unreal paddle we have in the northern countries, just because there is no other way. It's not their fault, but they cannot play outdoor.
Yes, of course. That's why I loved Copa Davis in tennis in the past, because in the past Copa Davis, for people that they don't follow tennis, every time that a country was playing as a local, they could choose all these conditions. So basically they could choose indoor or outdoor. They could choose the surface. They could choose the type of balls. So
okay, I didn't know that.
So it was amazing. That's why Sweden, America, normally they choose to play in indoor courts, super fast courts, because they train in that way.
Yeah.
And when Spain was playing as a local, always they play next to the sea, with the clay court, slowly, outdoor, sunny, a really hot day. So it was amazing because it was really fun to see how players they had to adapt. But now it's not happening.
My friends of Fidias, fitness center of Andalusia, would have a very alternative approach. Actually have a t-shirt of that. There is a dinosaur, and it says strong but extinct. Adapt or die. It's not about having good technique, good mentality, of course, helps. Very strength. If you don't know, if that it doesn't provide an advantage to adapt to the game, to how the game is.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see Novak Djokovic, for example. He was playing tennis in an empty swimming pool during the war. He was playing with a net, and the planes, they were bombing the city. So he was playing in all this uncertainty. Then he's playing in US Open in a great stadium. Everything is safe. Oh, that's so easy. I can focus only in the match. But of course, we don't need to go to Serbia, and we don't need to put ourselves in a war to play better. But as coaches, we can try to find ways to make people uncomfortable. But this is a longer talk, a longer chat, a longer talk. But it's really hard today in this new world where we live in Europe, especially. Like constantly, we are looking for comfort. We don't like to be uncomfortable. And you, as a coach today, you need to be aware of that.
We lose the power of stressors. If stressors are not a big magnitude, they are a source of help, of growth. But you can see in the developed world, as we have more commodities with cars, in work, in the lifestyle, more problems, more diseases we have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, mentally, especially today and all of that, it comes from that. But that's why it's a challenge for new paddle players, or not only new, to play better, to accept. I'm going to train paddle. I'm not going to feel comfortable all the time. And thanks to that, I will play better.
That's why I said before that I like to create crazy tasks. Tasks in which the challenges of it, the situations are much challenging, much stressive than competitive ones. Of course that they are not too much.
Yeah, only a bit. Not many rules.
My basketball coach, Raúl Martinez, that I learned a lot from him, used to say basketball is played 5 against 5. So when you do 4 against 4, it's much easier for the offense because there is more space, but much difficult for the defense because the defense has more space to cover. They are one less. So he always said, if we can defend this with 4, then in the match, we will make it super easy.
Yeah,
because we have survived, we have adapted to that challenging environment.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, but that's why many things are important to learn and to be a good coach today. That's my goal today as a head coach in a new club, to coach the new coaches in that way. Like they are ready to coach these players that normally they are coming from this comfortable zone. And you need to tell them or make them understand that here they are to train, but also to suffer. I mean, to accept that they will miss a lot. And then when they play, they will enjoy more. No pain, no gain in the training, not in the, like in the muscles, in the training, in the, I have players that they tell me, Bernat, but I don't like that. Why we don't do the technique basket? I'm losing against these players. I play better than them. So, and then why you lose? I mean, they are trying to find a way to adapt and play this game. But honestly, I had many players that they were complaining about my task sometimes. Why they did that? Because they feel so uncomfortable. Because they come to a training and they want to feel powerful. They want to feel that they master the game. They want to feel the ball is faster. All these things.
Or many times with the bucket, we make easy tasks so the player feels good. We coach them in the jungle so the player leaves happy. He comes back to us, but then he plays and he fails. Right? Raisi Erasmus said, nothing great has been achieved in ideal conditions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In sport, in life.
You need to feel the pressure. You can put it yourself, which is harder, or the life can put it.
And in padel, you have many problems players have, I think. It's because they don't know how to suffer, how to play in the back of the court, 5 balls in a row low to wait the lob. But they want to take the risk fast and then finish it. Win it or lose it, but finish it. Same with transitions. Yeah. If they play you 2 lobs in a row, in the third one, you go to win it. But no, you have to know how to suffer. You don't have to do what you want. Suffer and wait the opportunity to win that point or to take the risk.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we are not able to suffer up and down, bandeja volley.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Is what Djokovic says. Djokovic says, I finish with this, that everybody has good forehands. Everybody has amazing backhands. Tennis is a mental game.
Yeah. It's boxing from distance. You need to resist. You need to find the moment to hit a nice punch. You cannot punch every 2 shots because then you are not taking the right moment. You just do it because you feel like, wow, that's too much. 3 forehands cross with Djokovic. I will suffer in this match. It's going to be longer. I'm going to miss maybe the 4th one and I don't want to feel this. Let's try a winner. Boom. In tennis, it's even easier to play winners all the time. But then it's boring if you miss every 2 shots.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, it was a really good chat. I think we covered many topics. It was hard for us to follow the questions because, we are like this, like we like to play in the jungle. We don't like to play in the zoo.
You said it.
So, yeah, hopefully we could explain and share with people the importance of being uncomfortable, the importance of trying to look in the long term, not in the short term, to be a better player. And yes, the little things, they are important, step by step. Don't believe that you will train 1 hour with a coach doing baskets with only a shot, like a smash. And then when you play a match, every smash you do will be amazing. So instead of that, try to focus in how to play better and, well, all of that. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. Y ya está. If you want to share with us, where we can find your blog, website, social media contact, so you can tell us and we will add it here in the link of the post or video.
You can find me, to contact me, to read my thoughts, my reflections at the website fosburyflop.blog. Here you have written posts, there you have podcasts with another professionals, and there you have a way to contact me that, as you can see, I love to reflect, to talk, to share. So you are welcome. Thank you very much, Bernat. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Go to fosburyflop.blog to check the notes of the episode, its written version, and much more content. If you want to support the project through the website, you can make Fosbury Flop possible and check what benefits you get.